My name is Mark James, and this is a certified tea in a bona fide mug, and you can buy that. This is my review of Raw March the 13th. Do not turn off. Do not. Hey guys, so it's another Tuesday, the morning after the night before, and WWE, what do you do to me? What do you do? You build me up just to break me down. Last week's Raw I loved. I thought it was amazing. You know, we had Jericho, Kevin Owens. It was just brilliant. Had an Undertaker at the end. And then tonight we just have meh. Meh, 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 meh. That's all we have. We had 3 disqualifications during the night. That is unacceptable. 3 disqualifications. That's basically telling the viewers that your creative team can't be asked to do their job, and they're just going to go, yeah, we'll disqualify them, that'll work it out. Classic case in point is we build up this massive thing to the tag team championships. Which team is going to go to WrestleMania? Is it going to be Enzo and Cass? Is it going to be Cesaro and Sheamus? To be fair, I'd like both of them to go to WrestleMania, and that's what we got. But it was a disqualification, wasn't it? It was so telegraphed from the point that the club were on the screen and they were talking about not being noticed. And then they come out and we have this big schmooze. And then later in the night, we get Mick Foley doing the classic, it's gotta be a triple threat match at WrestleMania. And we're all supposed to be excited about that. Well, yeah, I am a bit. I'm a bit excited, but I just don't like disqualifications. It's pointless and it ruins a good match, okay? We also opened with Paul Heyman and Lesnar. Am I a Paul Heyman guy? Yeah, a little bit. But Lesnar Goldberg? No. I'm just not interested in this match. It's just, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think we'll have a squash because it's WrestleMania, but ultimately, if Lesnar wins, everyone kind of knew that was going to happen. If Goldberg wins, it's another swerve, and we have to carry on with a part-time champion. We're gonna either way anyway, but it just drags the storyline on. I want a resolution now, so please, Raw, build it up and then just give me a resolution at the end of it, please. I've had enough now. It's a bit boring. I want to see some new young people in the title scene. I loved Kevin Owens in the title scene. He was new, he was fresh, he was bringing a new kind of side to it, and it really works. And now we've got him back down with the US title, which is okay, but I thought he was a good champion and I wanted that to carry on. There also seems like we set up last week the women's title picture with Bayley, Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair. And now it's just been dropped. This week we had Bayley versus Nayar Jacks. That was just going to be inevitable anyway. Nayar Jacks, disqualification, they're surprised. They're never going to bury their champion, but they're never going to make Nayar Jacks look weak. So again, we have a disqualification match, and it just ruined the whole thing. We didn't need that match in the first place. We could have had kind of more build-up between Charlotte, Sasha Banks and Bayley, but in the end, we just had a pointless match, and Nayar Jacks beginning her build again as a heel, although it was completely damaged at Fastlane. I think it's time for a bit of tea. The one shining moment of Raw was Jericho. We had the match at the start, and then we had him talking to Todd Phillips at the end, who actually wasn't Todd Phillips, but he thinks it is, and he also thinks it's summertime for some unknown reason. I quite liked that bit mental side of Jericho, and I hope that character develops a bit more. I think it could work really well. But that was like the shining part of the whole kind of 2/3 of the first part of Raw. And to have that as a little segment, a little 2-minute segment as being the shining star really worries me. But then obviously we went into the end with Mick Foley, where all night he'd been told that he had to sack someone from Raw. Now I pretty much thought he was either going to get sacked or he's going to sack himself or, obviously quit. And then we got into the segment with Stephanie McMahon, and there was a little bit of a swerve where he said, I want to sack you, Stephanie McMahon, but he hadn't really thought through the consequences of this, because her old man is the boss, the owner, and then her husband is like running the show. So Mick Foley, you put yourself in a corner there, and I'm not surprised you got a beat down from Triple H, to be honest. If you diss his wife, you're going to get a beat down. But then we had the big bit of the moment. I was still waiting for Finn Balor. When the music hit, I thought, oh, and then it was Seth Rollins. And it looks like he's uninjured, or he's just recovered quickly, and they are going to have their match at WrestleMania. It was quite brutal, the last bit. I loved the crutch getting smacked around Seth Rollins' leg and it kind of bending. That looked really cool. And he looked in agony, which really worked. And I hope that builds up the feud a bit more. But I will say I'm a bit fed up of Triple H at WrestleMania. He just inserts himself, and this feels like a bit of an egotistical trip. Will Seth Rollins beat him? I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But I'm glad this is building up a bit quicker. And it was a final kind of interesting point of Raw, which was a completely substandard Raw, which I've already said. I'm going to keep saying it until it's imprinted in your brain that this was not very good compared to last week. We had last week, which was the night after Fastlane, the first kind of build up to the road to WrestleMania. And it started well, and I was pumped. I was really pumped. And then we had this week, and I blame you, Vince. Blame you. Other little bits of the night, we had Roman Reigns, and then he had the dong, and everyone thought the Undertaker was going to come out, but it was clear he wasn't, and it kind of distracted him. And then we had that weird segment with HB. Well, first, let me talk about the cliffhanger, which was Roman Reigns calling out the Undertaker, and then we went to a commercial break. How to kill the tension in a certain situation. It was perfectly executed. You perfectly executed how to drain any enthusiasm out of a TV audience, or even probably a live audience. However, then we had HBK come out, and whether he was trying to put Roman Reigns over as the underdog, or it was a slight kind of turn into a heel turn, then I don't know. But the glorious moment of it was when Roman was walking back up the ramp, and Braun Strowman just came out and just completely wiped him out. Basically incapacitated Roman Reigns on the ramp. And I think it got the biggest pop of the night. You know, Roman Reigns is never going to be over while he's a face and getting pushed to the hill. But little things like that actually work in his favour, and it worked really well. And Braun Strowman looked a beast. I loved watching it. Raw obviously liked it because they kept showing it in slow motion, and it was just a glorious moment to behold. Other little things, we had Charlotte turning on Dana Brooke. Do I care? No, so we'll move on. We had the New Day, the most stale faction in the WWE. It is just, I've used this word, it is boring. I'm going to lower my tone a bit because that's how it feels. It just feels boring. I couldn't care less about the Jetsons movie. I couldn't care less about them hosting WrestleMania. In fact, I think every time they're on screen on hosting WrestleMania, I'm going to pop to the loo or have a tea, because that's about what it's useful for. I don't see any point in it. Could they not get someone bigger than the New Day to host WrestleMania? I do not know. Should we talk about the elephant in the room as well? I would say a roided elephant in the room is Jinder Mahal. Come on, he's going to be future endeavoured at some point. He's just come back, but there's just no point to him. He looks as though he is a complete roid head with his veins popping out of his body, and I can't believe that he's passed the wellness policy test. So please, just move on, Jinder Mahal. We've had enough here. And Big Show's better than that. Obviously, Shaq versus Big Show is off because he's now been put in the Andre the Giant Royale as well. It feels a bit like the prestige of the Andre the Giant Royale is kind of gone, and it's pretty much a boneyard for people who don't have anything to do at WrestleMania, which is a shame because it could be a great event, but it's just being used as kind of like a schmooze, really, isn't it? So ultimately, it was a bit of a rubbish Raw. There's not much to take away from it. Just a little bit, obviously, with Seth at the end and Jericho Owens. I think that feud's going to be brilliant going in. So ultimately, I'm going to have to give it a bit of a weak tea, really. And I'm going to eat my biscuits. So I'll see you next time. Cheers. Did you agree with my review of Raw? Did I miss anything out? Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to like it, and also check out our other content, and if you like that too, subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Cheers, thank you, see you next time. Mark out.